Hello, students. In case you were panicking about the lab report and feel like you need a little bit more information, here it is. Okay, so first things first, introduction should be individual. You may select a research question that I have put in the lab report guidance. That's perfectly fine. So that means you may have the same research question as someone else. However, obviously, all your background information, the scientific journal article that you research and include, your environmental context, either local or global, all of that writing should be individual. The procedure methodology, there is no experimental design. What do I mean by this? That means that you do not have to state your independent variable or your dependent variable or your hypothesis or your controlled variables. What you do need to do is summarize the methodology that we used both to collect the bird data and the vegetation data on the trip. If you don't remember, if you were too freezing cold to remember what we actually did, or just seems like it was too long ago, well, lucky for you, I have uploaded a document from the professors from La UAC, and it is called La Joya Barreta Jornada, and it's under lab report guidance in Google Classroom. And they summarized all of the methodology that we used for both of those variables that we measured. Biodiversity of plants, biodiversity of birds. They also included the names of all the different equipment that we used. So take a look at that in case you're confused or don't remember. So you might have a similar methodology. Everyone is going to have a similar methodology. However, the exact wording should be your own. So no one should have the exact words of someone else because everyone should have attempted to summarize it in their own words, if that makes sense. The results, even though the data is the same, the graphs and tables should be made individually. This is not to punish you. This is because you will need to do this to have experience with creating graphs and labeling graphs and tables for the internal assessment, and I want to give you as much practice as possible. And then finally, obviously, the conclusion should be individual. How do I interpret Simpson's diversity index? So we talked about how to calculate it, but we really didn't talk about how do we interpret that number. Once we calculate Simpson's diversity index, how do you talk about that number that you just computed? 1 is the lowest value that we can get. The highest value is equal to the number of species in the sample. So for example, we counted 23 different species of birds from La Joya Barreta. We calculated the Simpson's diversity index at 12.4. As you know, 12.4 is not equal to 23. So we don't have the highest amount of biodiversity that we could possibly have for that ecosystem. 12.4 is about half of 23. So it's pretty biodiverse. We're going to have to compare this to both the number of different species we counted for the vegetation and the Simpson's diversity index of the vegetation, which you will have to calculate using Google Sheets. So for example, if we counted 30 different species of plants, and if the Simpson's diversity index for our plants was 28, the difference between those two numbers is very small. It's smaller than the difference between the numbers for the birds, meaning there's a high amount of biodiversity among the plant population and the bird population. I know that might be a little confusing. If you need to email me and get clarification, I am happy to answer any emails or questions on the matter. And then finally, a high value of Simpson's diversity means a highly diverse ecosystem. A low value, like 1, would be an ecosystem usually disturbed by human activity. Not the case in La Joya Barreta, since it is a reserve and not really disturbed by humans besides camping. That's it. Have a wonderful day. I leave you with this adorable gift. Remember, start the lab report sooner rather than later. You will start online learning on Friday, so you might have a lot of things to do on Friday. So I highly recommend that you get the majority of it done today and tomorrow. Good luck.